So to start with, okay. So Jocelyn, I watched your winning speech,
Okay.
and I saw that your confidence and delivery were amazing for somebody who's just been Toastmasters for 2 years. So I'm really curious if you've had prior speaking experience to Toastmasters.
No, I haven't had any experience prior to Toastmasters. Oh,
Mike.
try. I need to bring it closer, maybe. Hello? Try to speak into the blouse. Is it better? A little bit better? Okay, a little bit better. I feel like okay, as mentioned. Okay. I have not had any speaking, I guess, experience prior to Toastmasters. This was my first venture into this world, and it's been crazy. I've had experience in music, so I was part of singing in the choir, singing on stage, or having a moment of performance. That was something that I did have a little bit of history with that, and I believe that that's allowed me to be a little calmer than some when people are just standing and looking at you. So that's that can be. I think that's given me a slight advantage in being able to now transition to speaking. But I do think speaking is a little bit more challenging sometimes than just playing my instruments or even singing.
Definitely. I think singing is still, you're out in front of people, so
You
that
are.
definitely helps. And you got to project,
You
right?
do.
Vocal variety, all of that.
Yes, there's true. But then sometimes with singing, you can get lost in it. You can get lost in music. Sometimes it speaks to your soul. It's emoting because it's universal. I can start to sing and then I'm singing about something that's passionate. And before I think it, I'm not even thinking what they're thinking. Now I'm just experiencing the music. But when the words come, it's a little different. Now you're hearing yourself and I'm wondering how did I sound and is that make sense? Am I doing too many ums? Am I doing too many? Am I rambling? And those things start to get in your head, I think, a little bit more than with music. So I would agree that music does have its moments, but I think you can get lost.
Well, when you were giving your winning speech, did you feel like you got absorbed and lost in your script?
I did. I did at some point. I just went with it. I went with my story and didn't worry about what others were thinking. I did have moments where I had a few hiccups, but I still just got the story out because I knew the story. So I got lost in it. And I remember going back to it and I could see myself in that triathlon again. And I could see myself looking at that water and I could see myself panicking and that pressure and anxiety. And so I wanted the audience to feel that same moment with me. And I hope that that was something I conveyed.
Oh, we did.
Yeah, no,
Oh, we
definitely.
did.
No, I
We
agree.
did.
That's why I wanted to say that because I feel like if you have a script you've been working over and over, it's basically like a song,
It
right?
does, yes.
So you can get lost in it.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. And then Rochelle, my question for you is I see you joined Toastmasters 22 years ago, and now you're an accredited speaker, which is the highest designation you can earn from Toastmasters.
Hmm.
So how and when did you decide to make a career out of public speaking?
That's a great question. First, I want to give a shout out to the performance aspect because as a dancer, this makes so much sense now. When I watched her, I was like, wow, because the body language was. I'm coming back to your question, but I wanted to give a shout. The body language was so incredible, and one of the things I see happen is that movement is put on people, like okay, put your arms up in the air, or do a gesture. Right? So this is coming from inside of her. So any of you who might be in singing or dancing or any type of performance art, you don't have to be good at it. You just got to get out there. And this adds so much to the speaking. So the question was, when and how did I transition to professional speaking? Is that correct? I was saying to Jocelyn, I started speaking before I even knew it was a career, an industry. I had a fitness business and working specifically with plus size women, overweight women at the time. And I was speaking at industry conventions for the fitness industry, talking about weight bias, weight stigma, weight sensitivity, how do the trainers work with an overweight client. So this was all that I did. Till finally I realized one day that, oh, people do this for a living. And I was like, okay, this is great. So for me, the transition, again, wasn't difficult because I'm coming from the stage, right, as a dancer, and into the speaking was just a natural, and the body comes with it, right? So I transitioned over as part of the fitness industry and then moving and now working still body based, right? A lot about the leadership and the role of the body in effective leadership. How do we stay centered, grounded? How do we stay effective in the chaos, basically? And I would say we're kind of living in chaos, right? Or is it just me? Just checking, just checking. So my joy, and to Jocelyn's point, is the joy to me is it is almost an art form to get out here and be able to, and a privilege too, to be able to be out here to speak a message, to meet people, to make friends, especially in the Toastmasters world. So for me now, I did a lot during the pandemic on virtual I was doing a lot on resilience, stress management, keep going, people, you got this. If you think about, we were all at home, kids at home. I live in New York City, so it was an apartment where people could have their 2 kids and 2 adult parents working from home. Into the George Floyd, it just kept going and going, so I got a lot there. But now I'd say I'm back out there more, probably about 50-50, more like 75-25. 75 live, 25 still in this virtual hybrid situation. Did I answer the question, Sarah?
I think so.
Well, I wanted to give a shout out over here and then kind of bridge it over, but it's a great industry to be in. It's a great industry to be in. It is one where you have to hustle, and I'm okay for the hustle.
Okay. No, yeah, specifically I was curious which came first, Toastmasters or the speaking?
Oh my gosh, that's a great that one I can do. All right. When I came to Toastmasters in 2001, I knew how to dance and I knew how to sing. Dance, I knew how to speak, and Toastmasters put it all together for me. So that was 2001, and then I was speaking at these industry conferences in 2004. So Toastmasters, I knew I needed something, right? So those two came together, and that's what Toastmasters did for me. So 2001 Toastmasters, I started speaking in the industry conferences by maybe even before then, but they came together very well.
Nice.
Awesome. Just going back to what you said about dancing. So Rochelle was a former jazz professional dancer, and she's had over 30 years of experience in the fitness industry. And I can see that from your bio, you talk about trying to get people comfortable in their bodies and to embrace their bodies. So, can you tell us a little bit more about this, or maybe even show us how you get people to be in their bodies?
Well, we just met, so I won't do it. Basically, what I try to do, we'll have some time tomorrow to work through some of these things, is that, when I walked in this room, it felt a certain way. Did you all notice when you walked in the room? How did the room feel for you? Didn't notice?
Comfortable.
Comfortable? Right. Corporate?
A little dead.
A little dead?
Sterile.
Sterile?
Sterile.
So this is all giving us information, right, in our bodies. But what happens is we keep looking externally for all the answers, right? So when people are coming into a situation, what I'm trying to do is teach you, what is it that you're experiencing? What are you feeling? What are you picking up? Not from a therapeutic place, but more what's rolling through your body right now. And what I find with a lot of people is we keep, like I said, look externally for answers. Right? It's like, how do I fix this? How do I fix this? How do I do this? And instead, inviting people to come in, track the sensations in their own bodies, stress, anxiety, that's all about your central nervous system. So if your system is always on high alert, it's like, I'm stressed. But teaching people this, your central nervous system can regulate with an up and down once you understand your central nervous system. So that's when it comes into play, whether you're on stage or to do something or a job interview or something like that. So it's understanding how to be in. So we're not going to do something right now, as we're just getting to know each other. And
Maybe later.
maybe later. I don't want to knock people out right now.
Oh, I don't know about that. I think
We'll get settled in and then we'll go ahead.
Yeah. And then going back, Jocelyn, in your speech you talk about competing in your first triathlon. So it seems that you enjoy athletic competitions. And so I'm curious, does the adrenaline of competing in a competition like the triathlon match the adrenaline of going on stage for a speech?
Does the stage and does the competitions equal out or one the other. I would say, again, I don't, that's coming close to me. Talking into the blouse. I'm better there? Maybe? Okay. All right, we'll try it this time. I would say they're very similar, very, very similar. Athletics and getting ready to go out to that performance is, well, not even that performance, we even been out on the stage to speak. Yes, my heart rate goes up. With the watch, some people have the iPhones and we have the watch with the heart rate. Before my contest, and this was even in my division, my heart rate starts to go. At one point, it was maybe 130 some beats per minute. And referencing, I run at 150. Like back and forth, it'd be 150. So I'm sitting in place, getting ready to go and have this contest, and my heart rate's at 130. It was almost as my watch clicked on and said, "Are we on the treadmill? Because we're not moving, but we're moving." And I realized, no, okay, yes, it happens. That moment, that anticipation before something is so big is about to happen, even physical, when that's about to happen. They were very similar, very, very much so. And you have to do moments to get yourself together. Absolutely.
I definitely agree. I think the relieving thing about competing athletically is that you can use that pent up energy for something. But for going on stage, you have to calm down. So maybe, Rochelle, if you have any tips for how to, I know you are an energizer at conferences, but how do you calm down excess energy?
Well, it's interesting. I didn't have a chance, but I get nervous every time. Every time before I speak, I get nervous. And I don't think it's such a bad thing, right? To have that little bit of jazzed up in you to be like, okay, I'm ready, I'm ready. To calm down, people say to breathe, right? There's a breathing, but I usually I love to wear shoes. I love high heels, but I usually take my shoes off and put my feet on the floor and make sure that I'm good. I'm grounded to the earth there. So like for now, like, are you all have your feet crossed, or can you be able to put your feet flat on the floor and maybe sit up in your chair and pull your head back instead of that computer chin? Now you're ready. So simple, right? But we can think about this, we're all here all the time. And now if you're used to this position and then you get up and you're ready to go on stage and speak, right, where's your body? Your body needs to be able to stretch up and open up and be able to stay centered and grounded. How's that for getting in your body a little bit? Yes, look at you. So we've been sitting for years. That's the part of the problem. We've been sitting for years. So always finding your feet on the floor, right? Your buttocks on the chair, sitting up tall, and most importantly, this head coming back on top.
Yeah, I saw, I think Jocelyn, I don't know if it was an article, but in the article you mentioned like switching into flats out of
Yes.
heels
Yes.
for your performance.
Absolutely.
Really? You do
Oh,
it?
absolutely. For me, it could, and then I will mention this later, but for me, I needed to be comfortable. I needed to not worry about pace because, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love a good pair of heels. But when you have to place your feet, that is a moment where we have to, and I know after a while we can get into where we're placing our feet, but mind you, I'm gonna get up on this stage. I only have a few minutes to be acclimated and get in. So there's no moment for me to now hesitate. There's no moment to worry about that squeak here or squeak there. I needed to be flat and ready to go. So yes, absolutely. Heels, not for this. I wanted to make sure I was flat-footed, connected.
Yeah, I also prefer flats. And tomorrow you're going to be speaking about dynamic delivery. And I know from watching your speech that that is definitely one of your strengths, besides the inspiring message that you gave.
Thank you.
And I'm curious, what about public speaking or what aspect of it did you find challenging? Obviously, it wasn't the delivery. Are there other, or maybe that was, what do you think is the most challenging or least intuitive aspect of public speaking for you?
The biggest challenge I find is making sure I stay on track. I don't want to be too rehearsed where I have everything memorized. So I want to flow, but I realize sometimes we get into where did I go? Where was I going with that? And then you start feeling comfortable. We want to be conversational. We want to start to feel like there's a connectivity. But what happens when you get into conversations? Now I'm going to here. Now I'm talking about this. Now I'm talking about that. Wait a minute. I need to stay on track because I want to keep you going. I want to keep you going down a path with me. So that's the part I found to be a little challenging, is if I don't have my speech memorized, can I divert just enough but still keep you on the right path? And I found that's to be my challenge for longer speeches that I had to do.
Okay, like what length of speech?
I would have to say maybe keynote size, where you're looking at 30 minutes.
Right.
You don't want that memorized. That will come off it would be too much. So that one you have an outline, you have a flow, but sometimes something sparks. You're like, oh, I want to mention this. Oh, I want to mention that anecdote. Oh, I remember that joke. I want to tell you about that one. That was funny. So you want to make sure that as I divert and build, I'm still going the right direction. I'm coming it back to
Got it.
what matters.
Right. This on? Okay. And then maybe same question for you, Rochelle. What aspect of public speaking is something that has always challenged you?
That's a really good question. I think what's important to me is to always reach the back row, to always reach the back row. I know you all want to be in the front. Like this is like Alice and I have been talking. We've been talking about EVs and all kinds of things. But it's those of you in the back. Oh, and I see Jacob. Yeah, I see my friends. That's right. There we go. So I want to make sure I'm all the way to the back row, and I think it's really important to get to the event early, to say hello to people, right? To say hello to people, to see people eye to eye, to introduce myself. Like when I came in and somebody's like, hey, yes, I said, I'm one of the speakers. And I'm thinking, no, it's okay, it's me. I'm here, it's okay. Go in front. No, it's okay, it's really cool. Everything's cool, I'm good. But it's to really be one with all of you. And I think sometimes when people go to larger events, it's not so intuitive to be able to be out there. But I think as human beings right now more than ever, we need to be out there with one another. We need to connect, right? Yes, I'm from New York, okay, but you're here and I'm there and there's so many people in between, but we're still people. So that would be my favorite. It's a challenge for a lot of people, I think, to get out there and start to introduce themselves in advance, but I think it's also the most important thing we need to do.
I think that's a really good point. I never thought about reaching the back row, and I think now our back row is the online people. So it's even further back.
There you go. There you go.
I mean, when I attend like anything classes online, if I feel like I'm sitting in the back row of a class. So that's the new back row.
That's right. And can I give a shout out to my friend Penelope, who's in New York City?
Oh, yeah.
Penelope.
Oh, I just
Thank you.
Hi, Penelope. Since you mentioned New York, I know you're both from the East Coast. Jocelyn, you're from Baltimore, or you're working now in Baltimore?
I'm from Jersey,
You're from
but
Jersey.
I'm in Baltimore.
Baltimore. And then Rochelle, you're in New York City?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm kind of curious. Well, first off, welcome to the West Coast.
Here.
And I'm kind of curious if you've noticed general differences in communication between the two coasts.
Not particularly, at least not on this trip, because I just got off the plane. But not particularly. I think when it comes down to it, I think we're still people and we still have the same communications. We want to hear the same things, we want to listen to the same things. So I haven't seen a difference in that as of yet. So I don't know if the Cali is more laid back, or because I know the East Coast is we're a little bit more fast paced and no eye contact.
No eye contact?
No.
Say more about that.
It's on the subway. It's on the subway. More like when you're walking past someone, you can be looking. It will be two people, no anybody else around you, and they will not look you in the eye. It's just East Coast, definitely Northeast Coast. Yeah, subway. No one looks at you. It's different. It's just different.
Okay, yeah, I've seen that.
Yes.
Yeah, but not at Toastmasters.
Oh
Club.
no!
Oh, no,
By
no,
no
no,
means.
no, no.
Oh no! Not when
No.
delivering a speech. No, eye
No.
contact is one of the must-dos.
Yeah.
One of the
Yeah.
must-dos.
No, I think east to west, I think we have a lot of work to do as a country, east to west, right? It doesn't even matter who you are or what you believe. We just have to all work together. And I think the biggest thing that I see and feel out here is that was exactly what you said, we're all still human beings, right? So it's, to me, we have so much work to do, and I'm looking forward to speaking tomorrow about leadership and about teamwork, because we have to see people as individuals and who are they and what makes them happy. So if you gave me, you wanted to, I'm just telling you, if you decided to send me chocolates for this event, right, I'd be like, oh, chocolate. It's not my favorite thing. You want to send flowers? No, I like flowers, right? So sometimes we just miss the mark thanking people. And so we're all humans. Who are we? What lights you up? That's to me. But I love being out here. Can I do a little side note? I moved out here after college. I lived in San Francisco, and I worked with the San Francisco Jazz Dance Company. So to come back today and then see some friends today that were my friends for a long time, I was so happy being out here. So thank you very much. It was really, really special to be back out here. Yeah, thank you. It's there.
And for Rochelle, you mentioned that you work with leaders to eliminate the dichotomy between how they are visually perceived and what they say. And can you give us some examples
Sure.
of?
You ready?
Yes.
Okay. I'm so excited you're all here today. How many of you have heard something like that before, right? How about this? I am so excited you're all here today. I want to be genuine, right? Team, we got some great news. We've increased sales this quarter by 20%. Team, we've got some great news. Paula, I'm just going to call you name, Paula, was so great helping us hit our sales mark by 20%. Thank you, Paula. Sorry, I apologize.
Wow.
All right. It's going to be a great day today at the office. Really great day. Thank you for coming. It's going to be a great day here today at the office. Thank you so much. Your commitment, your passion, your purpose helps drive this company forward, and we need you and you to bring your best self forward. How's that? Did you feel it? When I was saying to Jocelyn, what I've seen in some of when people are doing speeches, somebody will say, as I said, move your hand, move this, do that. It's like, well, wait a minute. Is that really what you want to do? And one of the things I try to ask people to do is there some sport that you play? Is there some activity that you do? Or because then I can build the movement from there. So let's just say you're a violinist. All right, I'm just making that a violinist, which means that you are used to having your arms up here. Okay? But if you're not a violinist, you may not be comfortable going up here. All right? So who's got an activity? Somebody have an activity that they do on their sideline?
Yoga?
Yoga and piano? So piano's a little bit here, right? This is your piano, right? So piano's a little bit more here, so I'd be like, we're doing great, right? Yoga, there's a lot of stretch out. Yes, we got this today. So that's how I'm starting to add movement to people's programs, not say, here, do this. Go down on your knees, right? Who does that? Does that help?
Yeah.
It's a place to build from. That's what I'm saying. It's a place, and it's authentic to you. That's what I want to see that your words and your body match, that they go together. And if you don't think anybody notices, poof, they know. Just saying.
I definitely see that and have felt that when adding gestures to a speech and you're like, oh, it doesn't feel right. Yeah.
Exactly.
And then it comes off just like you were demonstrating.
If it doesn't feel right, it comes across as inauthentic, for sure.
Yeah. So I think sometimes when you get feedback and you're trying to incorporate it, sometimes it's just maybe not right for you. Do you agree with that?
100%. And I think I give Toastmasters credit because we are willing to give it a try, right? Do a body gesture, and if you don't have a movement background, it may not feel right for you. But so I give us credit for giving it a try. But then it's to go a little deeper and find out what is the authentic part of you. Where did that movement come from? What does it mean to you? Right? So that to me. So if it doesn't feel authentic, it's not. It's not. Okay? So change it. Do you need help?
Maybe I'll ask you later.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
Going back to Jocelyn's,
Sure.
going off of this, when you're working through your speech and incorporating people's feedback,
Yeah.
were there gestures, were there things that you brought in and had to toss out and then brought in and tossed out? Like,
All
give us
that.
some examples.
Like all of that. Brought in, took away all that. One of the, I'm trying to think in terms of gestures. I had, I'm willing to take, which one? What are you thinking? Oh, yes. 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 I turned around on my back. Yes. Yes. That was.
Can you demo that for us? This was so, this is when
Yes,
I
I
knew
can,
this
I
was the
can.
most authentic I've seen in Incredible.
I'm trying to think. When it happened before that? Okay. So I had to build up to it, if you don't mind.
Go, take your time,
I
take
need
your
to
time,
build up a
girl,
little
because this
bit.
is so authentic.
I started to panic. I looked over to my right. I saw my family. They're looking at me. What's wrong? I look over to the other side, and hundreds of people are looking down to see the start of the race. I look behind me, and all I can see is the people starting their part of the race. I only have one thing to do. I chose to do the only logical thing anyone would do in this situation. I flipped over on my back and started the backstroke. I remember that one, and all I could think was I knew I wanted to flip around. I wanted to make sure that was a moment, and I wanted to make sure, and I knew that was the reason why I wanted to wear flats. I rolled my sleeves up. I wanted movement. I had a tie on my blouse that I loved, but I had to tuck that in, tie it around the back, because I didn't want that to flip in my face, because that would have just been a really bad fashion faux pas. So at that point, I just said, okay, I'm ready. And so one of those movements, that was one of the biggest movements, of course, that was the signature one. And then it went from there. All I could do at that time was I just wanted to make sure that my movements represented my story. And if you muted me, could you still know what was going on just based on my movements? Could you see each moment? Could you see the swim? Could you see the bike pedals? Could you see the shimmy shake run that I was getting to at that time? That's what I wanted to make sure. So I did tweak some parts of it, but the movement, I stuck with what felt right. I stuck with what felt right. And so it really didn't have much that had changed as I was developing the movement. Parts of the speech, that did start to change, where people were saying this part maybe, this part this, or this part that. But the movement was really my own, that I worked with what I had to say.
I'm curious, do you have like a recording of your very first time giving the speech, and have you compared it?
I should have. Sometimes I wonder about that, and I would encourage anyone, start to record some of the things. See your growth. Allow yourself to see how you're moving and changing, because if you're really investing in this, you're really taking your assignment seriously, you're taking your path seriously, you will change. So it's almost as if I would love to see how that started in the beginning, because my club saw, and they were just like, wow, it's a whole different speech in a way. And I'm like, yeah, I took it and worked it until I felt good about it. It changed a lot.
I love that you turned your back on the audience. Actually, because I know in like ballet, that's a huge no-no.
Exactly.
Of course. Of course. But it was only for a few minutes and for the effect. And I realized, I don't know if too many people have done it, but I was willing to risk it.
Yeah, it's breaking the rules for artistic.
Yes. Artistic liberties. Absolutely.
I love that. Going to Rochelle, since I brought up the dance again, had a question about. Oh yeah, so you're hired often as a keynote speaker and as an energizer for conferences, and then you use music, breath work, anatomy, and activity design to energize your audience, which to me sounds like a fitness class. And are there some practices that you think Toastmasters can use to raise the energy of the club at their meetings?
Yeah, it's a really good question. The reason I didn't move you earlier is because a lot of you don't even know me, right? And so when somebody walks in a room, a speaker, and they're like, get up, yay, let's do it. You're like, really? Like, oh, I don't even know who you are. And you just came over from New York. Who are you? So I take the time to sort of make sure I've introduced myself, not only just, hello, I'm Rochelle, but also that you get a sense of who I am, right? And so when it comes to moving people, I did District 119 a couple of months ago. Oh, I don't even remember, but recently, and the woman, the best compliment I got, she said was, we just started kind of stretching, and the next thing I knew, we were dancing, and I was like, perfect, right? Because it just kind of, it moved through her body. One of the things I think is, as human beings, we're sitting too much, right? So now that we kind of know each other, could we stand for a moment, would you mind? While we just do a little anatomical? All right. So part of it is, that, like, imagine, this is what I see all day. Right? The people have been at that, like, belly. Right? I'm just saying, it's not a judgment. But what I'm saying is, if you can stand with your feet flat, as we said, and then lift your body up and roll your shoulders back. Oh, she came in just the right time. She doesn't know me. Okay. And try your hands by your sides with your fingertips just reaching down towards your ankles. And so that you have a little more space here. So just saying, like, yeah, and then just find your spine. All right? Now say hello. Oh, one more time. Yeah. Oh my God. Did you feel that? That was so much better, okay? So now stretch your arms up, just because we do know each other now. If you can reach your arms up, that's fine. And then take your fingertips and just stretch them together a little bit more, yeah. And do a little exhale. Now, which way does your body want to go? Down, around, back, right? And then just relax it on down, roll your shoulders back and around, all right? And then just stand for a moment. And how does that feel in your body? A little more, you got a feeling, and a little more energy, a little more stretch, right? And this is, to me, like if you're getting up to give a speech, I'd stretch your arms up just a bit before you even give a speech, or open your arms out even to the sides. But so it's just small shifts to help people and be part in their body and not be in this all messed over posture. You can sit down. Thank you. But like I said, if I came in like we start out, hey, let's do it.
That force.
Please, I
Yeah,
came out of
that
the fitness
force.
industry, forget about it.
Yeah, actually, in one of my Toastmaster club, we talked about the power pose. And doing that, one of the members was recommending striking a power pose, which is just like this, right before your speech, to help make you feel powerful. Basically, it's like faking a smile to make you feel
To
happy.
make it work.
Yeah, most of us think that our emotions are creating our body language or our postures, but we can use it the other way around. We
body
can use our
language,
body
okay.
to affect our emotional state.
I like that.
Going back to Jocelyn, I'm wondering, how did you, like, right before you got on stage, while you're waiting, that's probably the most anxiety-ridden
Absolutely.
time. How did you get ready for getting onto stage?
Breathing. I know. We were talking about it, but I'm one of those people that want to take a moment and just breathe. Just bring it in, hold it, bring it out, and just keep going until it's trying to bring my heart rate down. That's where I'm trying to just center myself and relax, as well as listening to music. So I am someone that tries to bring my energy down once I relax with that and just go. So it's definitely breathing.
Is there a specific breathing technique, or just like focusing and slowing down the breath?
I go into that a little bit in the ABCs of my dynamic delivery, but I'll break that down a little bit of what I do exactly. So yes, I will.
Okay, awesome. And then for music, any recommendations?
I am an instrumental, so I find that just listening to the softer things, more of a sometimes jazz, classical, or something that just mellows me out, where I'm not hearing anything, I'm not motivating some things. Just a soft piano is sometimes all I need to just calm it down, mellow out, and just relax. So that would be mine. But everyone has their own music that takes you there. Everyone has their own genre, their own thing, that favorite song that you have. That's okay to put that one on too, because sometimes I have to get hype music. Sometimes I have to get that one that's like, come on, you got this. And that's okay. Whatever you can do. So whatever sings to your soul, by all means, make sure you use it.
This girl is on fire. That's
Good one.
That's my favorite
That's
song.
a good one. Good one.
Sorry.
Appreciate
I do. I love very upbeat, powerful women that are really using their voices really powerfully, and men too. Don't get me wrong. We all need to have a really powerful voice, but yeah, I like to hear it. Like, yeah, belt it out before you go.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, powerful woman.
My point was, everyone's different. Like, everyone.
Yeah,
You've got to
everyone's
find what
different.
works for you. So.
Yeah. Going to Jocelyn, So you're a pharmacist,
Yes.
and I saw on your LinkedIn you've led a career in pharmacy, and you're now working as a vaccine health specialist at Pfizer.
Yes.
Are there many opportunities in pharmacy to utilize your public speaking skills, or are you searching for them?
I'm searching for them, and I'm in the start of this whole pushing public speaking and wanting to present with with my career. I believe that there's opportunity to talk about health and wellness at any chance we can, and I'm excited for just how this is now going to build to use that in a broader sense. Because as a pharmacist, I can talk to you one-on-one all day, but in front of a room where I now have to project and I have to now give across my message, and it maybe not received by all, and so it starts to be something I know I need to work on, and I'm excited to take this to this world now.
So you've been customer facing before, like
Yes.
working with patients.
That is all. Yes, that's all I've been doing.
I'm curious about that experience, working with different kinds of people. What have you learned about building rapport quickly with and earning people's trust quickly with all sorts of people?
I think just one, asking what their question is, what's their concern, and truly being concerned about what's their concern. I'm not trying to sell you medicine. I want to know, how do you feel? What's going on? What is this for? What did your doctor say it was for? What are your questions about it? Did you ask him about this? Did you tell him about that? Does he know you're on this? And so having that connection of, I want to know how you're doing. I have no stake in the game. I'm not have no money in this. I want to know how you're doing. I signed an oath, and it matters to me about how you're feeling. And so for me, I make sure I give them, of course, eye contact, talking to them, being patient. The phone's ringing. Yeah. Well, how are things going on for you? I wanted to make sure that's how I was, and that's the part I loved about it. But sometimes you don't get as much time to do that part. But I found that I could connect with one-on-one with someone definitely about their medicine, and it was something that it was easier for me to do, the one-on-one part. The bigger part, that's where I'm learning.
What have you learned so far about connecting with a bigger audience?
It's a challenge. I've learned that it's a challenge. I've learned that it's a challenge. I've learned also to try to work in what's comfortable for you. Again, authenticity. For me, I try to lean in sometimes towards the humor. I'm on that aspect. I'm not on the turn to your neighbor, say this, say that, but I'm more of the to try to connect with the humor aspect as of right now. But I continue to try to grow in other ways because I'm still learning. I'm reading the books. I'm trying to go to the workshops. I am right there sitting side by side you with the notes. I would have my notes out listening to things that Rochelle is saying right now if I wasn't standing in front of you. But even sitting in front of you, but I would have my notes out taking notes, trying to absorb as much as I can because there's something that we can learn in every part of it.
Yeah, maybe Rochelle can give us some tips.
Yeah, how do you connect
how
to
do
the
you
audience?
connect with an audience?
With an audience?
Yeah.
Oh, I mentioned a couple before, which is I think it's very helpful to get there in advance and say hello to people. And I did, meaning I did meet some of you in advance, and then she came in, and I was so excited because I hadn't we met in the airport, but she probably didn't know me, but anyway, we met in the airport going home from the convention. But so to connect with an audience, get in there and meet people in advance, right? Ask the meeting planner or ask the event planner or get to your meeting early. Right? If you're leading it at your office, get there early and ask your team, what's going on today? How are you today? They may want to tell you publicly, they may want to tell you on the side. So always get there, and then always help everybody feel included. At this point, I have probably made eye contact with maybe, I'll be so brave as to say 75%. Would you say? Do you all, if you think I've made eye contact with you? Thank you, I got it. So that is what's really, really important, so.
Nice. And going off of the healthcare, I think I saw on your website that you're also into like health and holistic. I saw you have like a mindful eating program on your
Yes, yeah.
website. Yeah. And then
That's
you're
a good one.
also an advocate for health at any size.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit more about these endeavors?
Thank you. Yes, it's interesting. This is a program called Breathe and Eat. And what a concept, right? Breathe and Eat. What I love about this program is everything that I've been talking to you about. What is the sensations in your body? And what happens is sometimes we'll be eating, right, and then we completely miss that we're full. We like go right through. So in this program, what you're doing is you're eating and you're tracking the sensations as you go. Right, so I'm saying like, what is the feeling that you have? What is the feeling that you have when you have Thanksgiving, a Thanksgiving meal? Anyone? What is that feeling in your body?
Euphoric.
What else?
Great.
Stuffed. I heard stuffed. Sick. Loaded. Okay, you got that. What is the feeling you have when you haven't had food in a long time?
Cranky.
Angry,
Right, cranky.
cranky, but what? Right?
Right.
Make sense?
Aching.
High energy. Okay.
Right.
All right. Empty. So we've got cranky, hangry, hangry, over here to stuffed, sick, right? Well, you should be eating right to here. So what I'm teaching is I'm teaching people to eat to this place by tracking your personal sensations. And that all fits in with this whole body stuff we've been talking about, right? Because if you've been hangry and you eat, you can blow right through that and get over to sick before you even woke up. Like, oh, shoot. So that's that part of it. And then the health at every size has so much to do with, I believe all people have the right to a movement program that works for your body. And I believe the fitness industry is doing better, but there's still a lot of work to be done to make not make accommodations, to help people understand how to move their body no matter what. Whether it's you're just not a coordinated person, or you have some physical something that's not working correctly, or whatever. Everyone has the right to this movement program. And I also believe people should not be judged for their size, their shape, their anything. So this is all health at every size for me, which means, to your point, when Jocelyn's making the connection with people when they come in to see her, right, it should be no judgment. We are all people still, and we have to really respect one another, our physical mobilities, our shapes, our sizes, our bodies. And women, to me, are constantly, and men more now too, just constantly beating on themselves to be perfect. You know, get on stage and be perfect, or I got to show up looking perfect. It's like, you're beautiful right now. Look at this. It's beautiful. So that's what I do.
I love that. And Jocelyn, going off of that, what did you eat before your competition?
I have to be completely honest. I don't remember. However, I don't try to eat at all because I do lean on that energy. When you're not hungry, eating, like when that energy. And also, too, my greatest fear is just all of a sudden something not working well. And now I'm in front of people already feeling bad, and something didn't balance well with how I was feeling. And so now we're adding another aspect to already my heart rate. So now we're going to have stomach churning? No. Let's leave it to one thing that I have to deal with, and that's just the heart rate. And afterwards, then I'll find something. But I try not to eat. I try not to, at least hours before, enough to make a difference. So I'll have breakfast, but I wouldn't eat before I
Yeah,
got
breakfast of champions, right?
there you go.
Yeah.
You know, it's so interesting because I know you said when you don't eat, you have energy, right? And what's your first name? Robert. I would agree, and I didn't realize you were going to say that, because as a dancer, I had a ritual of not eating a certain amount of time before you went on stage, and it has stuck with me as a speaker also, because you don't know what it's going to feel like, and when you're on that energy piece, then it feels a little bit better. So I don't eat too much either before, like 3 hours in advance. I'm not usually, but I will say this: you have to know your body, right? If you have to get out there and deliver, you know, a training for 3 hours, you better have something to eat before you go. So learn your body. What are the foods that work for you? How does it feel when it's in my body? And don't have any surprises.
Are you too glad that we're eating dinner after this? Then?
Yes, yes.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, and it's going to be Indian food for those of you who are joining us.
Yes.
Which is something I would not eat before competing, whether it's athletic or speaking. It's definitely afterwards. My last question for both of you: you're both female speakers that are leading with your presence on stage and your excellence in your respective fields. There's a lot of discourse about how men and women lead differently. So I'm curious if this is something that's in the forefront of your awareness, or maybe in the back burner, and any things that you've noticed in the differences between men and women leading.
That's a heavy one. Well, I will speak on for male and female dichotomies. I know that it can be tricky navigating a world where it typically is a male dominant aspect. I'm just now new into the public speaking realm, so I'm a little bit seeing how this is. But I know in terms of pharmacy, and I can speak on how I've seen in my atmosphere, and this with my new situation, I'm noticing sometimes it is a little different. Their presence can be different. And it could be, is it simple just that they have, you know, because I'm replacing someone who is tall, 6 foot, handsome, young. So I don't know if I'm hitting against that. And he's a man, of course. He's a man. But in any case, and so I'm wondering now, I'm getting hit with walls that he didn't have. And I'm wondering, is it just because I'm new? I'm wondering, is it because I'm a woman? I'm wondering, is it because of my ethnicity? I don't know. But I know that I have to push past some of those uncomfortable moments and stand in my presence. And I'm allowing for this portion as I'm learning. I find that Toastmasters starts to help me with my platform and find my voice and be able to speak a little stronger, hold a little bit better, give eye contact, have your presence. You have a presence that you can hold up too. So I'm learning that. So I wonder about that leadership aspect too and how they are seen. So I'm growing, but I'd like to believe that there's a place for women in leadership, of course, and we have a different way that we may navigate that, but we can still be strong leaders in whatever field I think we choose to be.
Here.
It's interesting because I think because I've been in Toastmasters for so long, I've seen a lot of changes. When I first came into the club, I would say it was probably male dominated. But a lot of them mentored me, and I would say that I got my move forward from the men, right? It was just like, come on, you got this, you can do this. The same happened in the speaking industry for me too, as a lot of the men. I think what I see now, though, is especially as a woman, I feel there's a lot of responsibility on me to model for women that you can be powerful. I am well aware that I am well aware of my privileges, that I am Caucasian, that I am blonde, that I am, you know, I am well aware of that. When we come into Toastmasters, though, what I see in the clubs is that we all are here, and we all kind of level it out, like, oh, we're all afraid to speak. We're gonna try. We got to accomplish this, okay? So whether it's male or female, and our club is predominant. Our club has a lot of people where English is not their primary language. Right? This is just in New York City, and I'm sure you've got some experiences with that too. So for a lot of our members, people are trying to work their English even better. So my role, I feel, is to stand as a strong leader, right? Both male and female, because we are a global world, right? We have to work together. So understanding one another and working together is an enormous responsibility and a privilege. And I also believe I am huge privileged to serve for ambassador for Toastmasters in the accredited speaker program, because it shows people this is where, if you want to go in this direction, we'll talk a little bit about that tomorrow, world champ versus accredited speaker, what does that mean? What does that look like in your career path for you? So I love being in this space right now, having seen what we've come through and what's coming forward in the future. So.
Thank you. Yeah, I remember joining Toastmasters. I'm in the Women Lead Club, and then looking at the history of Toastmasters and knowing that it started originally as men only, and then now we have women leading the TLI right now. So
Yes, exactly, yes.
So I want to open it up to the audience to ask questions. Anyone online or in person? Yes.
Well, thanks for being here. Before I ask my question, Jocelyn, I just want to say, whenever I get on stage to give a speech, I don't wear high heels either. No, but you both talked about performance, and I've always kind of felt that a good speech is part conversation, part performance. What tips do you have for people like me who are maybe okay at the conversation part, but need to work on their performance part?
You want to go first?
Let me think.
Okay, I'll add.
Thank you.
Do you play a sport or anything, or do any other type of physical activity? Anything like
Hiking.
you hike?
I'm too
Okay.
old for sports.
What's that?
I'm too old for sports.
Oh no, don't say. So a hike to me, it has a stride to it, right? So to create a speech and start with. So last week, I got up in front of the audience and said, "You, I know you love to work without eating. Sorry, I was going faster, Robert. I missed it. The reason I ask you to tune into your hiking is because your body is in motion, and I assume that you enjoy being in motion in hiking. Right, look, your whole body just lit up telling me that, right? Everything's whoop. So I would start to put some of that in. And then, are you using sticks at all? Walking sticks?
Only in rough terrain.
And rough terrain. Okay, is there anything else that you use? Are you climbing at all, rocks at all, and hiking?
Depends where I go, but sometimes, yeah, crawling through caves, yeah.
Oh, crawling through caves. So listen. This great secret to tell me. And then the other one was up the rocks or whatever. Okay, so like we need to go to the highest level that we can do. This is movement that your body knows. So I'm asking you to pull out what you already know. That would be my job for you, right? So we got the walking, we got the kind of the secret thing. I got a secret, and we've got the reaching up to hit our goals. Does that make sense? Okay.
Oh, wait, how do I?
That's my tip.
I don't know what I'm supposed to.
You told a good one though.
I would say when it comes down to performing, sometimes it does come down to practice, to working that, to slowing down. Because conversations get quick, they can kind of get flowy. But when you slow down, sometimes that creates more emphasis and just slowing down. And when you do your walking, right? If you do, for me, I'd walk and I'd take my time. I know you are powerful in that, but you would take your time, pause, So there's little ways to, definitely how she was.
Oh, that was good though.
But just recognizing that you stop, you hold your stance, it gives more of a presence. And I think that can sometimes come a little bit more of a perform aspect of it, if you just give yourself a little bit more space to slow down.
Whew.
That's what I'm thinking.
That was very well done. Very well done.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, well, girl.
A wise one.
Very well done.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Question in the back.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Well, thank you. Yeah, this is I learned a lot today, so I want to thank you for the speaker first. And I have two questions. Okay, the first question I would suggest before we go out, can organizer tell us what's the event tomorrow? Because we were told we were in the NVIDIA building, and then we come here, and I did not see any sign. And I registered this. I just want to make sure tomorrow I come to the right room. And what is the agenda?
Yes, it'll be here tomorrow. Come here.
The same
tomorrow.
room?
It'll actually be down the hall, I believe. But I mean, if you come into the building, there's only one door, so
Okay.
there'll be people directing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And at 7 o'clock? What time?
Breakfast is at 7:00. Yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure. I don't want to go to the wrong building, wrong company again.
Oh, we had
Yeah.
a change of venue, very last minute. Apologies to everybody.
Okay, that's fine. We're all glad we made it, right? Everyone.
Yeah, didn't they do a great job making it right?
All right, so yeah, so my second question is, it really bugged me a lot. Every time I do the public speaking, I rely on slide a lot, and the reason I rely on slides is because I cannot remember. I try very best to memorize, but then I still need slide tool to help me to just keep talking based on the slide. Is there any good tip not relying on slide and can talk naturally, confidently to the audience for a long time, like 30 minutes-ish? Thank you.
Okay. Yes. One of the challenges that I see in some of the industries is it's a text heavy, it's all text on the slide. I'm sure you've seen some of those wonderful presentations, right? I always tell people to memorize their opening, whatever the opening is. I mean, this was different today. This was a very conversational, but memorize your opening, memorize your closing. Right? So you know that even if you get lost in the middle, you've got your close, you're going to end with like, nailed it. In between, I'm usually only working with about 3 bullet points. And if it's a longer speech, maybe it's more, but the 3 bullet points. Once I get that first bullet point, what field do you, what's your topic, let's just say?
Wedding.
Okay, wedding. We got my opening sentence, it's the bride, it's the groom, it's the family. So then I'm talking about the bride, then I'm talking about the groom, then I'm talking about the family, and end it. What you have to work on in there is can you handle just a little bit more? There's a PSA, point, story, action. Point, story, action. So the point is, this bride is really having an exciting time building her wedding. Let me tell you, we went to the store and she was so excited to buy her first wedding dress. That's terrible. Oh, that's terrible. I'll tell you more about that tomorrow. Do you understand my point, though? You just go back. Opening, closing, 3 points in between. And once you get those 3 bullet points, I just stick with that, and that'll help guide your mind. But at least you know where you're going to finish out. Does that help?
You said PST. I love that.
It's a PSA, but I got a little lost on my wedding dresses. I'm sorry. Point, story, action. Point, story, action. You make your point, you tell a story about it, and what is the action? And so the wedding threw me, but I apologize. I'll think of something here. But the contest. The contest is coming up. The reason you should do the contest is because there's this amazing young woman who came in and nailed it. And don't matter how long that you've been in Toastmasters, because she's only been in Toastmasters for 2 years. So you can do this story. I mean, you can do this competition. So are you going to do it? There's my call to action. All right? Point, story, action under each bullet point.
I have a good idea.
I'll tell about the weddings tomorrow.
For me, I mean, real quick, I know I'm still, again, I'm growing with everyone, and I feel as though as little information as possible that you're relying on is the best. If you have a key thing that triggers what you remember, if that's what, oh yes, I remember that, I want to give a presentation about weddings, so I'm going to put in there the top things you need to make sure you don't forget. Okay, the veil, the bride, and so you start recognizing as you build. So give yourself those key reminders is helpful. And then of course, have your opener and close memorized, but I would also say have some of your transitions memorized. But knowing when you're, oh yeah, that's right, I'm going to transition to, now I'm going to talk about what the groom needs to remember. So remembering that you have, okay, my transition, because smooth transitions flow definitely better in that. And that's when you're not looking. You're just looking at that and you have your transitions memorized. I think that might help that.
Hi. Thank you both of you for flying down here from the East Coast to us and giving us the opportunity to learn from you guys. And my question is to Jocelyn, a very simple one. How does it feel to be a world champion?
Yeah.
It is so surreal. It is one of those things you never think you want it to happen. And when I remember looking at Toastmasters, when I first decided I wanted to be a part of that and typing in what Toastmasters was, and then all the videos come up of these world champions, and you're looking at it like, no, one day, maybe, oh my God. and to now be one of those world champions, and it's just an amazing experience, just amazing. I will tell anybody, go to do a contest, because you'll never know. It could be your first one. It could be your second or third, whatever, but at least give yourself a try. I know when you don't gonna win if you don't try, so there's that.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Definitely.
Oh, it's been great.
Yeah. Allison, she's over here. Did you have a question? Raji.
I'm so enthusiastically welcoming you both here to California. I have a question mostly for you, but you can both answer. So I saw your speech, and you seem like a real go-getter. It's like you trained for a triathlon in a one-year time frame, and you won the world championship in a one-year time frame. So my question to you is that you just always go from a beginner to a champion in a year, or do you build slowly, and somehow there were other things that helped it to happen in a year? And same with you. Are you always, an achiever to have the distinguished position of having these two roles? The first accredited speaker, and I forget what the second one, but the only woman to have it. Yeah. So, what process makes you do it in a year or be the first one?
Thank you. For me, it's about setting a goal and I just want to get a little bit better, just a little bit better. And then sometimes I do enjoy the challenge. Sometimes you just want to give yourself a challenge. When it came down to the triathlon, I did the triathlon. I didn't win, nor did I place high. I finished it. And that was my goal. So I finished it, and not pretty. It wasn't pretty at all. So for me, it was one of those things where I wanted to challenge myself, and I chose to do it within that year because I thought that that was an even bigger challenge and an even bigger push. And I don't often, but sometimes I do. Sometimes I want to just see, how can I do it? Maybe I can give it a try. And so let me see where I can go. I think I can do that. Why not? And that's how it was with the contest. Maybe I can do that. Let me give it a try. Why not? I'm ready. I'm ready for change. I'm ready for this moment to thrive. And I wanted to push myself to make that happen.
That's a great question. I wouldn't say I'm quite that fast. Like I'm a little more, if those of you, I'm a Capricorn. We're kind of slow and steady, right? So I've had people, I thought I could say that out here in California, right? I've had, thankfully, Penelope helped me out a lot with the accredited speaker one, right, to get all the paperwork done so that I could get all that. So she's kind of been moving me along in Toastmasters especially. So for me, it's a combination of, yes, not knowing what I was kind of doing, and at the same time having other people who are going to help move me along. I think I'm very self-directed in my business, but then when there's these extra things that I'm trying to shoot for, I really need team. I'm a great cheerleader for myself. I'm a great cheerleader for other people, but sometimes you need a team that's going to cheer you on it. And she's by far one of my biggest cheerleaders. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Evelyn. Thank you so much for being here. I was just wondering, Jocelyn, how far into Toastmasters were you before you started competing?
I think a year.
I was going to say, yeah.
It had to be a year. My first year, and I mentioned it, but and I have it in the speech, and how it changed and how it shifted. My first year, I remember people were saying you should do the contest. My club was being very supportive, as clubs do, but they're like family. That's like anyone else telling you, like, you should do it. Yeah, but you love me, so, But that's how it, but they kept saying you should do it, and I didn't think that that was possible. But when it was maybe within that first year, it was the level 3 project with networking, and I went to my district conference, and I got to see the contest. I got to see that, and I started making it real. And I was like, oh, okay, I think I could do this. And so it wasn't until that, that following, because I want to say, wait, it was in May, I think we had it, and I think we started up in February. And I had decided I was going to be a part. I was going to push myself and really commit to stepping out and being fully immersed in Toastmasters. I just fully was like, let's do it. So yeah, it's a couple months in, I decided.
I've got a couple from online. I'm going to combine them sort of into one question because they're similar. Someone asked, what specific thing does one need to bring into a speech to elevate trust? You guys kind of answered that a little bit, and do you have any advice on asking the audience questions and encouraging responses?
You get a newbie's answer, and you can get because one thing I think we said, what was the first one? Was about
Trust.
How do you engender trust?
For me, I think you're leaning in towards the authenticity. You're opening up. You're allowing yourself to realize I'm human just like anyone else. I'm not perfect. I'm trying to work this out, and you're not trying to put on any airs. I think when people can see almost like the real you, who you're willing to expose yourself to be just enough, because I guess you don't want to leave it all out there, but you're wanting just enough to be able to connect. I think that has been the one thing that I've learned that's allowed for me to even go ahead and even win these contests. And I've been noticing that if you're willing to give some vulnerability, if you're willing to say, I failed out of pharmacy school, I messed up, and it sucked, and just that. Have you ever failed? It was embarrassing. I was ashamed. But I picked myself up and went back at it. And so can you. What's going on with you? And I recognized that gave me so much more connection. I think that pushed me further than what you saw for the triathlon. It was exposing my heart and my shame. But willing to do that, willing to put it all out there. Because I noticed the pattern that really good presenters create that within instants, and you only have minutes. So how can I do that in seconds? Show you who I am, all of me.
What was the second part of the question? It's like trust and
Responses.
oh yeah,
Oh yeah, that I am.
yes, yes. That's it. I had to think. Did you want me to do that one?
Yes, please,
Okay, all right,
because
all right. So a couple of things. First of all, I think, as I said, we're developing the relationship with people. Like, I know I don't know your name yet, but I saw you lift your eyes when I said I made eye contact. And I'm like, wait till I see you at dinner, we'll talk. It's really being with people and trying to, so that by the time we have gone through a speech together, a presentation together, you are more willing to engage, right? Because you've seen me mess up. You'll hear about my weddings tomorrow and all that kind of stuff. And so it's that ability to connect with one another. The other part is I never want to force it out of people to engage. You know, I sometimes if I know you're like Toastmasters are always like, yeah, we're having a great time. We're great. You're very outgoing people naturally, right? But I have been in some places where people are just like, I'm not saying anything. Right? So I also have to temper my energy to match the room a little bit. I mean, I can be a little bit above you, but I can't be on the ceiling. And I love being on the ceiling. I mean, I live up there. You make me look, thanks, my girl, yeah. But so I temper my where am I, so that I'm on the same with you a little bit more, maybe just pick you up a little bit, but I never want to pull it out of you. So when I asked you, hey, is there some type of sport or something that you do, whatever, you were like, well, hiking, and it wasn't a big deal for you, and I'm like, oh no, there's so much in there, and then you started rolling with it. So I hope that helps a little bit.
Thank you. Thank you. Time for last two questions.
I'm glad you spoke about that. My next question would be like, I'm an ambivert. I'm not an extrovert. So my energy is in the mind and in my head, but I don't know how to communicate to people or like pass on that when I'm talking. So how do you, and in your experience, if you have dealt with introvert and shy and ambivert people, it's difficult to how do you say exuberate that energy to the audience, right? So how do you deal with that? Like, what is the transformation or what is the technique to do it? Yeah.
So I don't know the topic that you're referring to, so let's just say anything. All right. I imagine you're passionate about whatever you're talking about. You have to be passionate, even if it's about, pharmacy school and not. You still have a vulnerability and a passion about it, okay? But the introverts, to me, have a strength. They have a quiet strength, because I do tend to be more out. But there's moments in her speech where she is so in that you just want to. You can almost feel the whole audience kind of lean in. Right? So the introverts, to me, their skill set is the ability to have people lean in with a sense of trust, with a sense of honesty, and not be worried about being like, I gotta be out there. There's enough people out there. Trust yourself, come in, be solid. The one thing I say that more introverts should do is work on vocal variety. The vocal variety will help, or the pause, even the powerful pause like you demonstrated. This will help enormously if you are not a out there kind of person, an extrovert. The introverts work on your vocal variety and work on your pauses for your power and your strength, okay?
Oh,
I didn't know if you had something to add.
I don't really have anything to add. I think that's a good spice to start, because I think you're working with, I think you have to be authentic to you. So someone's, as you mentioned, someone going here, someone going extrovert is not going to have a different outlook on that. And so you have to build and take your time, and don't feel like you need a rush to be perfect and where you need to be, because it's your path on how you're going to allow yourself to grow. And yes, you have to put yourself sometimes outside your comfort zone, but that's okay. That's where growth starts to happen. So little by little, you'll start to see maybe smaller steps in how you are recognizing, what could I do that's different? Maybe I'll smile in a different way. Maybe I'll walk a little closer and talk to somebody. Maybe I can give connections if I move around the room a little bit more. And maybe instead of standing and asking, maybe you're one of those people that I want to go out and walk the crowd a little bit, just so I'm not the center of attention, but I can feel like I'm one with you. Working and just tweaking and making adjustments here and there, give yourself time. Give yourself examples and give yourself just the grace to learn.
Can I get just a teeny weeny onto that? Because I worked with a group of women that were in STEM, right? That were doing a lot of heavy duty research. Their PowerPoint slides were like, one of the things I would say to them is I didn't understand the slide, right? I wouldn't understand what they were talking about, let's just say. But one of the things is there a bit of a story that can come in there? Like, oh my gosh, I showed this to my mother and she was like, what? Or something, or my kids thought this was the new Lego set or something. I don't know, if there was all symbols and things. Is there a little bit of story that you can weave in, just a little bit that might match something that's going on up here? And I'm talking about like equations and graphs and all that kind of stuff. If you could add in a little bit of story for those people that just kind of, and it keeps people just kind of, story, okay, great. So just a little bit, but I love. There's a lot, right? I hope that helps you. All right. You're welcome.
First of all, you.
Robert.
First of all, the three of you ladies have beautiful smiles. And when I was in college, I took public speaking, and we videotaped it.
Yeah.
It's a long time ago. But anytime I see myself on video, I do these micro expressions that when I watch myself, I want to cringe. And how do you get rid of those?
The cringe moments or the micro moments?
No. When I watch myself on the video, I feel like I just want to cringe. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I made that face. It's like I'm revealing something about myself when I, in these like micro expressions that I'm doing when I'm speaking.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Of course it does. I was going to say, to me, it's very difficult to watch myself. I think it's very difficult. I think you have to just keep watching yourself. It's such a narcissistic thing that we're in, but narcissistic in a way of growing in my leadership. If some of the skills, some things that, if culturally they don't match, if you just don't like it, then work on changing it. It's like our ahs and ums. But is there something in particular that is you? Right? It could be, I like to work with people also, and especially for women on their signature move. Do you have a signature move? Do you have something so when I talk about people coming into their bodies, I'm always doing this, come in, or integrity is this. So there's some signature moves that I want to do that show exactly what I want. But if there's things that aren't working, like your ahs and ums, then definitely keep watching it and take that out. And you're going to have to get over the cringe and just go for it.
Yeah, I would say definitely practice. And also, are you being more critical of yourself than what actually people are seeing? Because sometimes, but then that is something that you might have to worry about, the cringe moment, because no one's seeing that but you. And so it actually doesn't come off bad at all. And so maybe get some feedback, maybe asking some people to also that you trust, and say, what do you see when you see that? Are you getting the message? Or are you too busy looking at me making this face and all this other stuff when actually no one's seeing that? So give yourself get some feedback. And again, practice and looking at it and seeing what you're seeing. But honestly, maybe you're a bit more harsh than you realize.
All right.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm maybe in between something, so I'll ask it first. First of all, thank you for coming here. I'm having very fun and a lot of learnings from your interactions, and I love how it is flowing. The question for me is, I'm an engineer. I like scripts. I like how to go with what is written or what do I know of. How to make it flow beautifully.
The finesse, the je ne sais quoi, I don't know what it is, but it's something. I think it comes with time, again, with practice. And I'm gonna always say this: we're giving yourself grace and giving yourself time. And you speak in conversation, not rehearsed and to the points. Can you start to cut back on some of the things? And again, giving yourself smaller topics. Again, you only start with the 2 minutes and just giving yourself an outline and sticking with an outline with only a few words. So give yourself almost like an exercise or something where you're only going to give yourself 10 words and you want a speech now off of that. And have a moment where you're able to start to build that, and then or cut back. Maybe start 20 and then cut back to 15. But you see what you're saying, like cut back on some of the things that you're giving yourself cues for to make it more conversational, because the conversationals are the flows. You don't have choppy conversations with somebody that you care about. So start to have that flow and start cutting back your notes little by little, and give yourself time. Give yourself grace.
One of the interesting things to me about Toastmasters that I love so much is the diversity. We have people from all over the world, right? 280,000 members from worldwide. what I love to see is, who are you? And you are an engineer, so show me that. I have one friend who is an engineer, and he would tell engineer jokes. Now I can't remember them, but his like kind of inside engineer joke, which would be really funny if you started adding that. It's kind of owning who you are. The other thing that I find fascinating is that we come to Toastmasters and we have to speak English, right? English. But in our club, sometimes I'll say to our members, just put in a little bit of that Russian for me. Just put in a little bit of that Indian for me. Just put a little bit. And all of a sudden, you see the whole audience go, oh, everybody sits up because you've inserted something that's not English, right? So the ears have to change. So I stay an engineer, own it, try a little humor. I'm sure there's some engineer humor. And then every once in a while, put in your native language, just a little drop here and there. And you watch the audience change because we have to listen differently. Be you.
I like that one too. I like that.
Thank you.
We can hang around and ask questions, but let's wrap it up for the online folks.
Okay, so no more questions? Sorry. we will have more Q&A, or
There's
you'll have
another
time
moment.
to talk to our speakers. But let's close out. I just want to thank both of you again for making it all the way from the East Coast.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, my back row friends. Thank you online.
And so, thanks everyone for making it, even though we changed the venue last minute. We'll be back here tomorrow with both of our speakers. We'll have breakfast at 7:30, I believe, is breakfast, right? And then, right? Yes. Okay. And then our first session will be with Jocelyn at 8 a.m. And we'll have Rochelle afterwards. There'll be alternating speaking sessions until our 3 p.m. Ice cream social. So, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Rochelle.
Thank you. Great.
Thank you, Penelope. Thank you very much. Thanks.